Welcome to the Ships of Naval Action, and today I will be portraying the ship Wasa with the W. Yes, now, sorry she's flying an English ensign, but in history, Wasa has been a Swedish 60-gun ship of the line built in Karlskrona in 1778 by Frederick Henrik R.A.F. Chapman, a very famous Swedish ship designer. She participated in the 1778 Russo-Swedish War and fought at the Battle of Hogland. She was sold in 1803 but repurchased in 1808 and converted to a 50-gun ship. The Swedish East India Company took advantage of Wasa for a trip to Canton in 1803 to 1805, and she was reduced from 556 to 167 men. The ship was then repurchased in the Navy back in the 1808 after her only trip for the East India Company. Wasa is typical of many Chapman's innovative ideas, because Sweden built its armed forces in close cooperation between its different branches, army, artillery and navy. They requested a ship that was powerful enough to fit the long-drawn artillery duels in battle line, that was the practice, but also contribute to the support of the coastal operations and landings. Chapman's idea was a ship that, despite its small size, could deliver great firepower. A small ship that has advantages, that is shallow, can navigate with more freedom, that the reduced water resistance gives greater maneuverability and speed. The low height also reduces the drift, which helps the ship to keep the formation at a line, presents a smaller target for the enemy shelling. The result was a double-decker with space for 60 cannons. More traditionally built ships of the line conducted usually 74 guns in 3 decks, and to compete they gave a ship very powerful armament of 36 and 24-pounder guns. Sorry. Chapman was also invested in attaining high rigidity with full sails leaned to no more than 10 degrees at 6 to 7 meters per second. With a high addition of highly placed lower deck gun, the ship had a huge advantage in high winds and heavy seas. The design, however, met some criticism from the fleet because the upper gun deck was completely unprotected and therefore did not think the vessel could withstand longer hours of bombardment during a naval battle. Wasa won over the Sheldon Sophia Magdalena in the test voyage, and the ship became the Navy standard for many years to come. An order of 10 ships of the line were placed and built between 1782 and 1785. To appease the fleet, the ships were built somewhat larger and stronger with increased protection for the upper gun deck and were given the increased armament of 64 cannons. Now, Wasa is actually in the game is slightly different from her real-life counterpart, meaning that Wasa as a ship has a grand total of 70 something cannons, and basically she is more likely more like the contemporaries than the rest. However, here we will be comparing her mainly to the USS Constitution, because I think more or less they have the same battle rating of 400. Now, as we said, Wasa is very small and quite maneuverable ship of the line, while USS Constitution is actually a super frigate. So although they have a very similar battle rating, they fight pretty differently. Now, Wasa is lighter armored, and she is built for maneuverability, speed, and even higher firepower. And as you can see in the game, she actually heals quite a lot comparing to the Constitution, which is like rock brick solid and doesn't heal almost at all. It also makes for a fact that she is like, you know, a 3-decker as opposed to the, yeah. Now, when we are talking about Wasa, she is faster, she has better turn rate, and she has much heavier broadside than the Constitution. I mean, it's debatable. If you equip Constitution with a weather deck on the carronades, then Constitution has a ball in the court. However, if you're just playing with cannons, then Wasa outguns Constitutions quite heavily. I mean, she still outguns the Constitution even with the carronades on top. However, given the Constitution's 24-pounder at the weather deck, Wasa has actually, I think, 32-pounder cannons at the weather deck and can pack up to 32-pounder carronades on the top deck. Some of the specifics: she actually has 6 bow chasers, which makes her very good for pursuits, given the fact that she is also quite fast and also better with a good turn rate. So she would be the chaser, or for the big lumpy ships of the line. When comparing her armor, this is the department that actually Wasa lacks at, and pretty significantly for that matter. She is, I would say, 10 to 20% less armor than the USS, even the USS Constitution, which I consider lower, how would you say, lower rated in the rank of the third rates. However, like I said, Wasa compensates that for speed. Now, when we're coming back to this engagement, as you can see, I was fighting another Wasa, so I think it was a pretty even fight. And as you can see, I have completely disabled both my weather decks guns, because I have carronades there. So if I do come close, I will re-enable and then fire again. However, for example, like now. However, when it comes to the actual cannons, I prefer to disable my carronades, because they throw my aim, well, off. And in that case, my aim is not so good, and then, yeah, I start wasting broadsides. So, I'm totally fighting with 25 cannon per side, and actually 6 bow chasers. But the 6 bow chasers is actually not to be trifled with. That pretty much means that you don't really need to load the chain into your port and starboard guns if you don't want to, because 6 cannons per broadside is actually pretty beefy in taking down enemy sails, especially if you're shooting from the front or the back of the ship, the bow or the stern. 22 hits, not too shabby on my part, and as you can see when we're comparing, she is giving me the run for my money, and both of our situation looks almost the same. I'm in a slightly worse situation, but I'm gonna pop up a repair, and then we're gonna go back into the fight. So getting ready to pop a repair. Popping a repair, and I've decided to disable the gun crews, or transfer as many gun crews to the repairs as possible to ensure that the best possible rate of repair that we can get. And during that time, I'm just gonna gently pull away from Joel Brunette over there. When it comes to fighting, my tactics is zoom in, broadside from point blank, and zoom out. I mean, although I'm packing long, so that means that you could even fight from the prolonged engagement. However, you all know that the cannons were terribly ineffective at longer ranges, so it's better to fight close up. Now, while I'm waiting for my ship to repair, I'm just moving slightly away from the enemy, and the sun is rising, which is great, because then we will be able to get quite a nice fight. Or was it setting? I wasn't sure. Damn it. Okay, almost entire repair crew will be on deck, and hopefully, I'm hoping that they manage to patch up the holes on my starboard side mainly. Because if I will be fighting his starboard side, I will be fighting it with my starboard side, so yeah. More or less. And he isn't repairing that much, so that's good. I'm just waiting until the number of the repair guys starts decreasing, because that would mean that repairs are nearing their end, so that I can actually turn back and go and finish the job. Okay, numbers are falling, so I think I'm gonna do a hard to port, and we are coming back to hit Joel Brunet. Yeah, the number of the repair guys is decreasing. They're still doing the repairs, but I feel pretty confident. So, hard to port everybody, and let's give Joel Brunet the shellacking of his life. I don't like this paint scheme because you can see how many shots that you have gotten. So it's an instant. My Wasa ship looked like as if it has gotten the measles, to be honest. I prefer the yellow paint scheme because it kind of camouflages the damage a little bit. For example, like it does on Bellona, for example. And also, I really do like the rear ornaments of Wasa. I mean, the ship is pretty beautiful, but all of them are. However, for the design, they look a little bit strange to me, to be honest. And still, she's a very beautiful ship. Okay, and I'm going hard to port. Because I want to be firing at her starboard side, and I'm hoping that she will heal a little bit so that I could create some leaks as well. Convergence parallel this time. And fire. Now we're talking. 7 leaks, 22 to the hull. That's nice. So Joel will actually be in a pretty bad state because you can already see him sitting lower in the water immediately, pretty much. I mean, 7 leaks to fail, that's not really a small thing. However, he's still very dangerous, so I'm turning hard to starboard because he will be now returning the fire on my weaker starboard side. And I'm hoping to once again, weave after him. So basically make him believe that I will actually rake him, when at the fact I will be hitting him pretty hard on his starboard side. Because he is now facing me with the port side, which is actually almost untouched. I'm yet unsure if I will fire with the... if I'll stern rake him or I will fire everything at his starboard side. I'm leaning towards the starboard side for now, but we'll see. If he turns too much into the wind, I'll settle for a stern rake. Convergence, 100 meters. Yeah, I think I'll have to settle for the stern rake. Oh no, wait, he's turning hard to starboard. Perfect. Okay, I'm just gonna wait a little bit. Come on, turn, damn you. Depowering the sails. No, not repowering. Depower the sails. Lower my cannons even further. Yes, even more, even more. And fire. Well, I'll have to settle with this because apparently I cannot reduce it much more. And carronades as well. Mostly to the crew. And now I'm gonna be re-enabling my sails. And now I'm thinking I'm gonna turn hard to port because he's turning to his starboard side. So I'm thinking a nice stern rake from this side would be actually quite good. Parallel, ready to fire from the bow, and as soon as I get you up my sights, fire! Well, 12 to the, or 14 to the hull, 4 to the cannon, 15 to the crew. Not too bad. Hard to starboard once again. I'm thinking that he's pretty much done, but yeah, a little bit. His rudder is hit, his starboard side armor is gone, and his structure is half compromised. I'm not in much better position, but I think if I manage to turn hard to the starboard, I will be able to go broadside to broadside with my port side, which is actually much more defended than his. So that's kind of the plan. And given the fact that I have long guns, I don't need to get so close as well. So we'll see how that part goes. There we go. Okay, and he's firing at my bow. Some minor hits, some hits to his sails and mast. Oh, don't you be turning on me, son. Okay, getting ready hard to starboard, and I'll be hitting him at an unfavorable angle, so I better turn now rather than later. At this range we should still penetrate some, hopefully. 3, 2, 1, fire! Seven leaks and 27 to the hull. That's nice. That could, and I've hit his pump as well. Oh boy, 7 leaks, 1 to the pump, and yeah, he's going down. There's no way around it. Ah, this is a beautiful shot. 2 Wasas with chickenpox. Or measles, whatever, make your pick. Now what I'm waiting for, I want to do another 4, put them in. Well, 2 to the sails, not that much. Now if I turn hard to starboard, I will be going into the wind, which is something I definitely don't want to do. However, if I turn, yeah, I want to be going broadside to broadside in this case, so maybe even from this range I'll take it. Dish out and take 1 more broadside, because I think that should basically reduce him to shreds, hopefully. So, fire! Oh yes, look at that. Beautiful! 23 to the hull, 3 to the sails, 1 to the cannon. Yes. We are really tearing him to shreds. I have a feeling he will be sailing shortly. So guys, as always, you know what to do, right? Like if you like the episode, hit subscribe, share, let me know what is your favorite ship in Naval Action, and also how do you sail Wasa? I'm really interested to hear how do you sail Wasa, what is your opinion of her, and how often do you use it and for what purpose? And let's go towards this Wasa, because we will be picking up loot sooner rather than later. She's going to Davy Jones, alright. And there we go. Perfect. Well, wonderful. Guys, as always, like if you like, hit subscribe, and feel free to share to your friends who are also playing Naval Action. Thank you very much for watching. This is GrunfWorks, signing off.